have number 1 done? Am I correct? Is it negative 6 2/7? Good. What about number 2? Get it done quickly. What is the correct answer to number 2? Gabriel.
2/10.
Gabriel says 2 3/10. Do you agree with him?
Yes.
I've got some disagreements there. Do we agree we have 7 6/10?
Yeah.
Minus 5 9/10?
Yeah.
Which this becomes 6 and this becomes 16. Am I correct? What's 16 minus 9?
7.
And 6 minus 5? Should that be 1 7/10?
No.
Should it be?
No. Wait, it's yeah.
Better be 1 7/10 because this is incorrect. Okay? Good try. What about negative 4 1/4 plus 6 3/8? What's my common denominator? What's the common denominator, Wesley?
8.
8. So does this become 2/8?
Yeah.
Okay. What sign am I going to keep? What sign would I keep, Miss Erin? Going to keep the positive. Good job. So I'm actually going to say 6 3/8 minus 4 2/8. Technically, that's what I'm doing because I'm keeping the positive sign, right? Isn't that 2 1/8? Okay. What about number 4? What's the sign of the answer going to be? What's the sign going to have to be? Paige.
Positive or negative?
Sign has to be negative. Good. And then all I do is 13 minus 5.9. Is that correct? When I do that, I end up with 13 minus 5 is 8.
Then
So I have a negative 8 1/10. Do you agree with me? Did I do something wrong, Wesley?
it's fine. Yes. You didn't change the 5 or you didn't do the thing. Yeah. You didn't.
You're right, I didn't.
Well, it looks like you regrouped, but you just didn't.
I didn't.
Share the 3 ones.
I didn't right there. That should have been 7 1/10, right?
Yeah.
Good. Good job. Okay? Just a review. Okay? Turning on. Going on. We're going to start, now we're subtracting rational numbers. That's no different than what we've already been doing. What did you do when you subtracted negative 5 minus 4? What is the rule when you subtract integers? What's the rule there, Olivia?
Add opposite.
The rule is subtraction is add opposite. And then you just did the math, right? Then all the addition rules apply. Subtracting rational numbers is no different. You just do the same rules and go on from there. Okay? So, subtraction is add opposite. rule still applies. Subtraction is add opposite. Okay. Let's work with it a little bit. Okay? We know the rules, don't we? Let me hear it. Sing.
Keep different signs subtract. Keep the sign of the bigger number, then you'll be exact.
Change the sign of the next. Then all you do is add them up as if it were a plus. This is like the second verse. Okay? Same sign, add and keep, different sign, subtract. Keep the sign of the bigger number, then you'll be exact. Change the minus to a plus, change the sign of the next. Then all you do is add them up as if it were a plus. See, we got a second verse that we can use if we choose to. Okay? No, just two. What must you remember when subtracting fractions? What do you have to remember when subtracting fractions? What, Alice? Must have common D. And you do not subtract denoms, right? Two things you got to remember. Okay? What must you remember when you're subtracting decimals? What do you have to do when you're subtracting decimals that you can't forget about? What do you need, Zoe?
Line up the decimal.
Correct. Always line up decimals. Okay, so if we are subtracting fractions, they're rational numbers, we have to make sure that we have a common denominator, and then we use subtraction is add opposite and do the math. If we're adding or if we're subtracting decimals, we line up the decimal. We remember subtraction is addition of the opposite, and we do the math. That's all there is to it. And that seems like it's a very simple thing. However, it tends to kick butt. All right? So, think about it. Look at the first one. -4 1/7 minus a -6/7. I change subtraction to add opposite. Do I have a common denominator?
Yeah.
So technically here, do I have -4 1/7 plus 6 1/7?
They're not opposites though.
Hang on a minute. What's not opposites?
The two numbers.
Really?
They're both negative.
Really? Did this originally say is that what it originally said?
Yes.
Yes. When I go in and I say change subtraction to a plus, add opposite. Are they not opposite signs now? Yes?
I got you now.
Okay. Now, which one is the bigger number? If I'm looking at absolute values, which one is the bigger number, Caden?
-4 1/7.
So I'm going to keep the sign of the bigger number. I'm going to keep that sign. And I'm simply going to subtract. So I'm actually saying 4 1/7 minus 6/7. Isn't that really what I'm doing? Okay? Can I take 6 away from 1?
No.
No, I have to regroup. This becomes 3 and this becomes 8. Do you agree with that? Everybody knows where that comes from. Okay? So 8/7 minus 6/7 gives me
2/7.
2/7 And 4 minus 3 gives me, oh wait, I was on the wrong one.
Three.
That should be a 3, because I was getting up here. So 3 minus, I don't have a whole, that's 3 and 2/7. 3 and 2/7 feels good.
I've been holding this up.
I know, I saw you holding it up, John. Good. What's it gonna be? What do I do here, Javen?
You would change the subtractions of one negative symbols to
Add opposite, right?
add.
Now, are the signs the same?
Yes.
But I
Yeah, there.
have 4/9 plus 1 and 3/5. Can I add those the way they are? No, because I have to have a common denominator. Paige, what's the common denominator between 9 and 5? She says 45. I agree. So did you have 20 45ths plus 1 and 27 45ths? Am I correct there?
Yes.
Okay. What happens when you add them together? You have 1 and what's 20 plus 27?
47.
47 45ths. Do I leave my answer that away?
No, ma'am.
What should that answer end up being, John?
2 and 2/4.
Very good. Good. If you know how to add them, you also know how to subtract them. I'm going to get that out of the way where I can see this one. Evaluate. You do this one on your own. I want negative 5/7 minus 3/5. You evaluate that one on your own. Check your sign. Make sure your sign's right. I don't think so. Let me keep that close. Yes. Let me make sure. Yes. Yeah, you two check each other. That works. The only question I have, what number is that right there? Didn't know. Good. Good. Good, I'm glad. Yes. Something's wrong. Okay. I agree with this.
Same sign.
Right here. Look at the original. Look at the original. It's minus 3/5, right? You changed the minus 3 plus, but you didn't change the sign of the next.
Okay.
So now, that's the negative. So what do you do now? Mhm. What do you get? Mhm. Over. And then is that a proper fraction? You can turn that mixed number into a, or do you turn the improper to a mixed number? Okay, you got some problems with it. Yes. But wait a minute, you dropped it out. What are both of these? Look, no, don't stop right there. Look at the signs on the original paper and tell me what those signs should be.
Okay, so they're both negative, so you're gonna add those.
You should have gotten negative 1 and 11/35. You should have gotten negative 1 and 11/35. If you did not, first of all, did you change the subtraction to a plus and change the sign of the next? Because if you did, the signs are the same then. You can't drop the negative out. And as long as we are working with adding and subtracting and multiplying, dividing rational numbers, I can't give you a calculator, and you have to get the signs right. If the signs are wrong, the whole thing's wrong. You have to have it all. Okay? So we got decimals. Again, what do we do with the signs?
Addition of that.
Add opposite. Are the signs the same now? Sure are. So now I have a negative 8 4/10 plus a negative 6 7/10, and I add them together. 1, 9, 10. You get a negative 15 1/10.
Yes.
You should. Do the second one. Do this one. You are so right. Yes. Yes. Yep. Look at it again there, Miss Savannah. Change the minus to a plus and change the sign of the next. Those are opposite integers, opposite rational numbers, so they have to be a 0. Negative plus positive equals 0. Do the last one. 41/100 minus 7/100. Minus negative 7/100. Thank you. Yes. Change the minus to a plus and change the sign of the next. No. Yes. Nope. Change the minus to a plus. Change the sign of the next. Yes. 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 0.48 is correct. Change the minus to a plus and change the sign of the next. Okay? Fist to 5, how do you feel about it? Here's what I know. I think you may know the process, but I think it's going to give you some issues when you go to do it. But there's your assignment.
It's also on the back of this paper.
Yes, sir, it is.
Oh, yeah, I know what to do with it. It's an Easter egg.
That is to be, we talked about this the other day.
We did?
When we take the test, that paper is going to get turned in if you want bonus points on your test. The whole chapter has to come in, and it can't be blank. You got to be doing some work on it as we do our notes.
Okay, I gotta say this here, Cheryl. I did not expect an assignment.